Hello, guys. Welcome, everybody, to Purple A's podcast. I am your host who bleeds purple and gold, Isaac here. So, basically, now that free agency is over, overall, the Vikings, they've had a successful free agency. They absolutely nailed what needed to be done instead of dancing around the question of what we needed to address. So, I mean, got to give credit to Kwesi Dafamensa for that basically always, but there are a few questions that I pretty much I'm usually late, so just expect it to be late whenever it comes to news in the off season. There are a couple of situations that maybe the Vikings could address. Maybe I don't know if that could be I don't know if I would really bother doing it in the draft for one position, which is the quarterback 2 position, first of all, where I would not really address it right now in the draft, but if they wanted to trade for one for QB2 option that can fill in the void the rest of the season, then okay, fine. Because right now, they've already got rid of Nick Mullins and Daniel Jones in free agency. Nick Mullins went to Jacksonville and Daniel Jones went to Indianapolis. So those two are gone. I was going to say Daniel Jones would be a viable quarterback too. We'll see. I was going to say, hey, maybe this dude might have the best season of his career as a Viking. Heck, Sam Darnold was the same way, so maybe Daniel Jones can do it too. So, which they don't want to really, I guess they don't really want to risk it, which is understandable, which is really understandable where they're coming from. So, I completely get it. And right now, the only remaining player that has not gone out in free agency as far as I heard. I don't know if you'll have to let me know or something, but they have not released Brett Rippon, the Viking, a quarterback who's the quarterback behind, I believe, Nick Mullins or something in the 24 season, which quite honestly, I don't want Brett Rippon, which I don't really trust Brett Rippon, first of all, to keep this team afloat. Maybe for a play or two, okay, fine, or maybe half a game. That's really about it. I don't really trust him for a full game, if you will, because he is no better than I would say he was basically the Wish.com version of Nick Mullins. That's what I would say. Cause he's that bad. He follows more turnovers than he does touchdowns. Probably twice as much. And so I don't trust Brett Rippon, but there were a couple of options that the Vikings could go with as far as quarterbacks as backups. I think they're pretty good options for the Vikings. Ryan Tannehill and Joe Flacco. Those two are basically the remaining two talking points for the Vikings as far as who should be the backup behind JJ McCarthy and keep this team afloat. So my answer is that if you want to, Ryan Tannehill I think would be a solid pick for the Vikings. He's not too bad, but I would say I would pick, if I had to pick one of the two and it only had to be one, I would easily go Joe Flacco just because he has more. Yes, he's won a Super Bowl, so that buys him more leeway. But I would say that Joe Flacco has more experience than anybody, and he knows how to win football games. Think about this with the Cleveland Browns when they needed a quarterback. They didn't, because they had, I don't know if this was the 22, I think this might have been the 23 season. They needed a quarterback because they couldn't do it with Deshaun Watson or Dorian Thompson Jr. from Cleveland. They couldn't do it, and they couldn't do the third string, let alone which I forgot, I don't know who it was, but they had to resort to fourth their fourth option. It was Joe Flacco. And look at that. I believe he got like 4 out of the last 5 games he won. I don't know if this was like 4 out of the last 5, but he won almost every single remainder of the games to get this team into the postseason and have a playoff spot. So, I mean, yes, he wasn't the same in Indianapolis, sure, but but he has one of those up and down moments just because he's not that kind of starting caliber kind of quarterback. I would say I would go with Joe Flacco, basically. I think that would be great for the Vikings if they could do that, sign Joe Flacco. But if they can't, then I think Ryan Tannehill will be just fine. He has some experience. He had some up and down seasons too as well. So I mean, those are good backup quarterback options, but I get if the Vikings didn't want to be greedy, and all that, but I mean, I don't know if you want to do it in like the draft cuz you don't know what you're getting into, which you'd rather go with the known as a backup what you are entering, which yes, I may sound like I'm reverting back to what I said before, where I'd rather explore the unknown than the known. But with the backup quarterback, it is absolutely necessary that if they do that. If they add experience behind that. So I would go with Joe Flacco or Ryan Tannehill. I mean, can't be mad at Ryan Tannehill either for that, but we'll see what the Vikings will do though. Otherwise, which is basically the only concern right now, so which I completely get. You need a backup quarterback, and you can't because you can't rely on Brett Rippon, like I said. So I think this is something the Vikings should try to do, which I believe Kwesi can do and is capable of doing, considering the fantastic performance that he's done so far this offseason. I expect nothing but good things. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit the like button, and as always, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 100. Make sure you share with everyone. Skol Vikings.